Back once again with the Cardiff City phone-in. Thanks as ever for joining us. We've got a couple of guys who know each other fairly well who generally go away with City. Well, three people actually generally go away with City with us tonight. Steve Thomas, great to see Steve back on the show. And I know people have been aware that he's not been too well, so it's really good to get getting back on the show. And a fantastic shirt for the occasion as well. Good effort there. Stylish as ever.
Thank you, Steve.
And Gary and John travel home and away with City a lot. So it's a good panel. And let's talk Cardiff City. So I'll tell you what. I'll go to Steve first, as he's just come back off the bench to join us. Bit of liniment going on there, so he's good to go. Steve, has it been during the time? I know you at the for you can't travel. You do a lot of traveling with City. You live in Nottingham, for those people who don't know, and so go and watch City play at home is 140 journey, wherever it is. How much of a tonic has it been for you seeing Cardiff City doing so well?
It's been fantastic, but I've been advised that I need to keep calm a lot of the time. And one game,
good luck with that.
The Bradford game, I was instructed by my wife that I was only able to watch if I stayed calm. And of course, David Turnbull didn't help by cutting inside and curling that shot perfectly in the top corner. And I leapt off the sofa going, yes. And my wife said, if you do that again, I'm turning it off, she said. So I had to keep calm. I was calmer when we scored the second goal. But no, it's been a tremendous tonic. But some of my friends have unfortunately said that as we've not lost since I've been away, perhaps I should stay away, but I don't intend to.
Do you think, how's your thoughts on City, because from a slightly more detached viewpoint, in terms of, do you think, do we look like we're going to go up as champions?
I think, well, we were talking before we came on about Lincoln. I've still got some concerns about Lincoln. I'm confident we'll finish in the top two. I'd like to finish top of the league, but I think it's a question of what Lincoln do, because Lincoln are very good at what they do. Again, we were talking on air about the goals they scored both at Plymouth on Saturday and when they played us. We scored probably our goal of the season from Perry NG that day, and they got two sort of journeyman kind of goals. 2 goals from corners against Plymouth on Saturday. Again, I think I'm slightly concerned about them, but I'm confident we'll finish in the top 2. And again, it's in BBM we trust. I mean, when I saw the lineup for the Barnsley game, for example, bringing in Kellerman, I thought, what's he playing at? And of course, we end up winning 4-0. Yes, slightly lucky with the sending off not happening to Robertson, but I'm confident we'll finish in the top 2, Steve.
So, John, sometimes when you're on the show in the past, City haven't been doing so well, and you can be fairly blunt and outspoken when you need to be. I'm guessing you're very happy with the way things are shaping up right now. Excited to be a City fan, I guess.
Yeah. It's like going back to the 80s for me. Like when we were in Division 3. Then on 82, 83, like when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
And going to the old grounds and that, and for me, it feels like proper football to me. We're playing some great football, but my only beef, and it really gets my eccles up. It's like we're trying to score the perfect goal by walking the ball into the net, and when you're on the edge of the 18, when I was a kid, like your coach used to say, body over the ball and put your laces up through it, make the keeper work. But that's my only criticism with the City. They just try to walk the ball in the net. But other than that, the football's been really, really good. Really good.
We scored 3 good goals on the weekend, though. I thought we took them all really nicely. Well-made goals, yeah.
Yeah. I thought when we went down to 10 men, I thought, I was feeling the worst, But for me, man of the match for me was Osho, close second, Joe Colwell.
Yeah.
Fish had a good game. Pelly NG had a good game. Well, but the 10 who were out there, they were marvellous. And my only other concern is I love Isaac Davis. I think he's a great little player. That he might get fed up being sub all the time and coming on sleep back and the last 15, and he may want to look somewhere else for first team football. And I hope he doesn't leave Cardiff City. But you want game time if you understand what I mean, gents.
He did really well when he came on, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was looking, John. I don't know whether you've noticed. I am a bit of a sado, so I just like looking at the squad, and we pretty well exactly got covering every position now. Throughout the team, we could put out 2 good 11s basically. with the players that we brought in. And I suppose that's going to be more of an issue, isn't it? When our other players who are out at the moment come back, John, we've got 3 more players coming back. Some players, they're not even going to be on the bench. Never mind in the squad, aren't they? Some players. So it's going to be a nice problem to have, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely, and he don't like big squads by the sound of it. BBM
No,
don't
seem to,
he
no.
likes a very close knit group, very tight group. He likes to have. He don't like a big, massive, overflated squad, But you can't please everyone, can you? And it's up to the individual in every training session. To give 150% and change the manager's mind, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Keir Starmer's available if we need any manager. I'm not quite sure.
Don't talk to me about him, please. Don't go.
Yeah, I've heard he's a good football coach. So Gary, so when the sending off happened on the weekend, John said why he felt. It's interesting. I was watching the game on Cardiff City World, and the good lads on there actually. And he said at the time, look, we've gone down to 10 men. I just got a feeling City are going to do well here, and we still looked the better side, and we could go on and win this, or words to that effect. And we obviously did. It was a fantastic performance, wasn't it? For 10, best I can ever remember seeing myself. 1 man less, and we just looked like it was the other way around, didn't it?
Yeah, I feared the worst when we went down to 10. I thought it was a soft sending off. In hindsight, you probably should have just let him go, because I thought Rotherham were appalling, to be honest. They were awful. So I don't think there was any guarantee he was going to score. But, when you think about it, we go down to 10 men at 0-0 after 20 minutes in an away game. And then we dominate the rest of the game virtually. Played counter-attacking football mostly, didn't we? Picked them off.
Yeah.
And I thought the 10 seemed to up their game. We seemed to be... thought Joel Colwell covered every blade of grass he could. Played very well. Cut down space in the midfield. We used the wings well. We created, we created enough, didn't we? And took our chances when they came along. And albeit against the poor side in Rotherham, I thought probably that was the most complete performance, particularly with 10 men for 80 minutes of football, that I've seen, particularly away, for a very, very long time. We were so comfortable. Once the second one went in, there's no way, I don't think we were going to ever do anything but win that then. And I think the last goal was the icing on the cake, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the third one. And we're only saying off air, though, unfortunately, it didn't look good for Isaac at the end when he was sat down on the floor. And he looked distraught at the end. When everybody was applauding the away fans there, the physio was leading him away, wasn't he? And he looked really upset. So I don't know whether he's done a major thing again, like perhaps his hamstring went, because he scored in the 95th minute. So something must have happened in the 5 minutes that's left. Whether he went to close somebody down and he felt it, I don't know. But hopefully, that and Osho came off near the end, didn't he? And I thought he had a tremendous game, Yeah. The away game at Bradford and that game was, I think he's really come to the fore with those 2 performances, because he did everything well, edited everything out of the box, and just kept it simple, really. I thought he was really solid.
I don't know whether you saw that thing which was shared on sometimes on Facebook and whatever. The EFL have these different groups, Gary, and one of them was talking about, I don't know where they get this stuff from, about the salaries that players are on. Yeah, it seemed like nearly everyone on the list was a Cardiff City player, and the figures they were talking about just seemed fairly nutty. But I think that's kind of, I'm not saying there's any validity in any of that at all. They probably just picked the numbers out of thin air. But the other clubs, which I kind of understand, they really don't want us to do this, do they?
No, I think, whatever anybody says, I think it is a big game, because for but we've just got to stand up and be better than that, don't we? When we played Burton away, ever since they played us, they've been pretty awful. And, they got beat 3-0 the following week, didn't they, or something? So I think it's just one of those things. But if we can just grind out 2 points a game for them now till the end of the season,
exactly,
we will go up. And I think the most important thing is finishes in the top 2.
Yep.
Yes, it would be fantastic to win the league, because we've been up there at the top for so long. Lincoln won't go away. But I think as long as we stay clear of the third, and the objective is to get promoted this year and get out of this league. We do not want to get involved in any playoffs.
Absolutely,
so
totally.
just keep every game going, and as long as we finish top 2, it'll be job done, won't it? And it'll be a fantastic season, won't it?
So there's a few questions in the chat, which I'm going to maybe go to the panel with in a second. There's some really good ones there. The thing with that, Steve, with Cardiff City, we are in this division. We are a big club at this level. You could argue, Plymouth could say the same thing, and other clubs could say the same. But Bradford, maybe you could say, but we are a big club at this level. But I personally, and I don't know, I'll ask you Steve, about this. When we came down, bearing in mind, we had a bit of a clear out actually of a lot of our high earners. We didn't really spend a lot of money on players. I mean, we've gone with our youngsters. I honestly didn't expect us to, inverted commas, to do a Birmingham. I never thought it would be a stroll in the park. It's great to doing so well. I didn't come in thinking we're a big club, we're going to walk this league at all. I don't know, what was your thoughts on that, Steve?
I agree with you entirely, but an interesting conversation actually. You reminded me of it now. Walking up to the ground on the first day of the season, and I fell into step with 2 Peterborough fans, started chatting away to them. And they said, how do you feel about it? And they said, well, I said, going back to that time we were 4-0 up at half time, ended up drawing 4-4. I said, we're going to have to be 5 up at half time against you, aren't we? And he said, I think you will be. Obviously we weren't, because we scraped it 2-1 in the end. They said that looking at your squad, this Peterborough fan said, yes, you've got rid of a lot of players, but the players you've kept, the players that have played at a higher level generally. So they weren't confident, and of course they've tended to be right going forward, haven't they? No, I didn't think that. But I think a lot of teams will not be sorry to see us leave the league. Hopefully, upwards.
And do you feel this? A question I'll ask you, Steve, and John and Gary can nod accordingly. I'm sure they'll get this. When we're away, do you still feel it's that England Wales thing going on all the time?
Even more so. I mean, they said hooliganism is more rife. I mean, it's not the time or place, but there have been a couple of incidents that I saw at away games this season. I just mentioned the first one, walking down to the ground at Port Vale, first away game of the season, and somebody shouted "Bluebirds" in our number, and a yellow smoke bomb landed at our feet going down the road. Now, welcome to League One. And there have been some more unsavoury incidents at some of the games. I think we are viewed as a scalp. I think not just on the pitch.
Okay, so let's go to, thank you. We've got some of these questions that come in. Firstly, question from Lee. I don't know the answer to this, actually. Anyone heard anything about Ruben and Yusuf Salak when they might be back? Also, Dylan Lawler, I suppose. Nothing specific, is there? Nothing.
Dylan Lawler, he said last week, hopefully next Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Right. But with Ruben and Salak, I don't know. It's a funny one, isn't it? They're nursing him back. I think his injury is partly that. Obviously when he gets fit to play, but psychologically, when you're on your back for 15 minutes like he was, and he's got a potential serious neck injury. I think it's psychological, isn't it? He's got to be mentally right to go back in the team as well as physically, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because the first time he plays, whoever's playing against him is going to give him one, isn't he?
As they have been all season.
Yeah.
Mm. And John, I mean, if you think about Yusuf Salak, he was 6'5", I think he is, or thereabouts. Right, yeah. He is a big physical player, and he's up for the battle. So that's his game. It's not like he's a nippy winger or whatever. He's going to be involved in that physical contact, isn't he? Do you have any concerns about him coming back in terms of his health, etc. going forward?
Number one, health first, isn't it? That's more important than any game of football. I was talking to a good mate of mine, Lawson Richards, and there seems a little bit cagey about this with Salak, don't they? And I'm just hoping, especially with X-rays today, they can find anything, can they? They haven't got like a hairline fracture in his skull, you don't know, don't you? And they're nursing him back, if you know what I mean. But I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see him this season. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, if it was something like that, then we shouldn't see him this season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Live without it.
Yeah, and the club will only let you know what they want you to know, like everything else. Steve, not being funny, innit?
Yeah, and also if it's a major, I'm not suggesting it is, but if there is something which is untoward going on with his fitness, then maybe maybe from his point of view, maybe he wouldn't want to let people know either. A question from Lee. I'll go to you first, John, and then I'll go to the other two on the panel tonight. and it's a pretty difficult question. Who would you drop for the free coming back? That's a good question, isn't it?
Oh, jeez, who'd I drop? Oh, God, that is a.
It's an embarrassment of riches, really, isn't it?
No, it is. Yeah. My motto is if it's working, don't fix it. Like, innit, you know, the way they played Saturday, I wouldn't drop anyone. I wouldn't drop anyone, to be totally honest.
But when when these three players, we're talking about Yusuf Salak, who's our top scorer, Ruben Colwell, who was our playmaker, and Dylan Lawler, who's looking unbelievably good.
Yeah. You got to give them time as well to get the, you could be fit, but there's a difference between match fit and fit, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to get up to speed as well. So you got to give them a few games. Like, they're not going to just come back from injury and be like a world beater. That ain't going to happen, innit? You got to give them time to get the match speed. So it is a difficult one, a very, very difficult one. And, he's had no protection in the use of Salah. The refs have been absolutely shocking. How they got a license to referee, only God knows. He's been piggybacking two players on his back, Yusuf Salak, and he haven't whinged, he haven't complained, and so far I'll get probably a lot of people disagreeing with this. For me, because of all the flack he's getting from other players and the treatment he's getting, and no protection off the referees, and he never whinges, he gives 150% every game. For me, he's my player of the season so far.
Okay, that's a good shout. He does take a lot of punishment. What about you, Gary?
Well, like John said, I think both of them will come back, on the bench to start with. I think, and get up to speed really. I think on Saturday, obviously Wintle won't be able to play, will he? So I think probably. Yeah, it's one game in there for it's a professional foul, not violent conduct, is it?
Right.
It is one game now, is it?
Yeah, I believe so, because he didn't get sent off for violent conduct, did he? He got sent off for a professional foul, didn't he?
That's right.
The last man foul, not violent conduct. I.e. a bad tackle or over the top tackle. That's a straight red. That's 3, isn't it? So I assume he'll go with Turnbull, Robertson, and Caldwell again. I assume. But you never know with BBM, do you?
That's exactly right.
And he certainly lost his rag after the game with the referee. That's the first time he's been openly that critical about the referee, saying that he said that they'd written to the EFL, the PGMOL, the referees thing on several occasions this season already. And they just get vanilla answers. They just don't get concrete answers.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he was particularly peeved with the treatment Isaac Davis got Saturday. Yeah. And none of the officials seemed to see it. The fourth official, the linesman, and the linesmen have been poor, as well as the refs this year in some occasions. They just don't seem to get involved at all unless it's a throw-in, and they never get involved in it's. They're all mic'd up, they can talk to the referee if they saw something. But he definitely got one off the ball apparently. But.
Yeah, well, talking about Isaac, I mean, this is Lee says he was taken out off the ball. So he's talking about at the end maybe it was something to do with that, but I think you're possibly right. It could have been something to do with that. Maybe he had concussion, Gary, at the end. I don't know. It could have been that, but he certainly didn't look happy, as you said.
No, he didn't.
So, did you say that some of the fans said to you they saw the incident where he was kind of elbowed?
Well, somebody said, I read I think on the message board said he definitely got one. I think I forget he named the actual player. I think it was either the fullback or the centre half. As he ran past him, he give him one to the side of the head, which went unnoticed apparently. So I think that's what BBM was so peeved about, that nobody saw that, and that sort of treatment, off the ball treatment again. Really, he was really critical, wasn't he, on Saturday? And he made remarks that
he could get him in trouble. Actually, it could get him in trouble. But
probably.
It probably does need to be said in the end. Steve, going back to the thing about the dropping players, I'll give you my take on it. I think it'll be BBM style. Going back to what Gary said, I think he's already kind of varying the lineup. So, what he's got there, it seems to me, is he's got 24 players now, I think, in the full squad. Looking at there, and they all want to play, and they're all decent players. And when they play, they do okay. There's no one struggling, I can see. So I think he just mixed it up that way. Just said, like, you're not in this week, giving you a rest and vary it that way, and gradually move them back in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I said earlier. I was surprised when I saw the lineup for the Barnsley game when he put Kellerman in. But Kellerman's been an absolute revelation in the last few games. I think he's been absolutely superb. As you say, he's varied it, and the teams in this league have not got the capability to react to that. So whether they'll look at and they see how Kellerman's playing, perhaps teams might shut us down. But actually, the way we're playing at the moment, I think the players, when they come back, obviously they're going to be able to come in, but I think they'll all be on the bench to start off with. Further to John's point, I don't think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Saleh's still got a lot to do the rest of the season, I think, for us.
Okay, and there's other comments coming back in here as well from Paul, talking about, I don't suppose they can really think they're going to walk back in the side. They will find it difficult, but as you say, Paul, I totally agree. That competition for places makes it so interesting. Yeah. Nobody wants to get dropped. Everyone wants to play. The results are flying in. The goals are flying in. So it's and that's BBM. I think what he's done so well, John, is. I think, because a lot of us would think, this rotation thing, particularly with the centre defenders, I've said the same thing myself, a couple of good centre defenders, keep them playing. But it seems to be working, this rotation, that they just all want to play. And it just seems to be a fantastic squad spirit there.
Yeah, totally agree. It seems a close-knit group. And obviously he's rotating the squad, they're all fit athletes, but no one's Superman in it. And it's like what you said, Steve, in it. Right then, Steve, you played well, but I'll give someone else a go, and rest you, so nobody gets burned out. They got these nutritionists and trainers in the background and all that, and they're monitoring the players, and it's not like the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, but it's all changed now, and and they know what they're doing, they know what they're doing.
And of course, he brought the lad Scanlon in now. So he's and again, talking about that, John, that's an interesting one, because it seems as if the players he's bringing in, it seems as if their personalities are also integral to the choice of bringing them in. They're not going to rock the boat. They're good lads. They've got something about them, and he's again, he's a youngster, so that's again very BBM style, isn't it? And of course, next week he could put Joel on the bench, and bring Scanlon in, couldn't he? He's got those options now, hasn't he?
So like Gary says, you just don't know with BBM. You just don't know. All you can do is wait till Saturday at 2:00 and see the lineup.
Yeah.
So you can do, really.
And Gary, the interesting thing with the weekend, we kind of strolled it, really. Maybe that's why that central defender whoever it was, got angry towards the end. Not that you can condone that. But when we won 3-0, and we kind of, we were way better, literally out of their league. But if we compare that to the Barnsley game when we won 4-0 the other week, that first half, I didn't think we were that impressive, and it was, and they're both, the goals are flying in. So it's interesting, kind of chalk and cheese performances. On the weekend, we just looked so good, didn't we?
Yeah, I think. Particularly when we're down to 10 men after 20 minutes, the fact that we rotate the players, I think it enables us to bring fresh legs on at the end. They're all fit and ready to go, and we can keep the momentum going, we keep the legs going, the pace of the game going, because we got players who can come off the bench and continue doing what we were doing, and I think we looked stronger at the end of the game than they did, and we had 10 men,
yeah.
And we just kept playing, didn't we? And I think Kellyman probably looks better in the middle at the moment than he does out on the wing, and he scored a couple of goals recently now, didn't he? So, I think I think it was such a it was a very, very good performance Saturday. To win any game away from 3-0, even if away from home against whoever you're playing, albeit they, as I said before, they looked really poor. It's a 3-0 away from home is fantastic, even with 11 players, and to be that comfortable with 10 players for the length of time we played is, they were, I'm not, look, I tend to be a little bit pest. Let's get the job done first before we start, going on about we're going to win the league and all that. And let's take it game by game and just keep chugging along here, okay? But the Rotherham fans were saying best team they've seen all season at their place, by a country mile. So I think sometimes Cardiff fans, we're always a bit pessimistic, aren't we? Well, I am anyway. So
I think
we always think we've seen it before. We've seen it from the city before. Once we're there, then it'll be a big day of celebration. If we can get there, that'll be fantastic. But just keep going on the way we're going on, and I think we got the right manager to keep everybody grounded.
Yeah.
And a big game coming up on Saturday now, and if we can win that one, because Lincoln are playing Bolton the same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if Lincoln probably, I probably think it'd be better for us if Lincoln beat Bolton, because then if we can beat Luton, we'll open up an 11-point gap on Bolton and a game in hand.
And of course, if we beat,
that's a lot of games. That's a big gap.
And the goal. I mean, they've got a really
goal difference.
Are really helping us.
Yeah.
If we look at us over Bolton at the moment, we got a game in hand. We got 8 points and 14 goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if we beat Luton, we go. I think 21 points clear of 7th or something mad.
So it's a big weekend again, isn't it? Big weekend again.
So sticking with the question on the screens, a couple of people have said about this idea of I'm an old geezer. What's a false nine when it's about but this false nine is apparently working well, which obviously has against Barnsley and Rotherham. Both sides where the centre backs are very rigid and defensive midfield players are not great at screening, which is a good comment from Martin. So you've kind of hinted at it before. So Kellyman, I'll start with you, Gary, and go around in it on this formation. Because even Robinson didn't get on, did he?
No.
Right?
No.
So no striker as such, must score lots of goals. So, so Kellyman, he's really come good, Gary, hasn't he?
Yeah, he looks more comfortable as a somebody who's just drifting around there. He's not an out and out. I think that's he's not an out and out centre forward, is he? No. But he looks more comfortable at home in the middle there, and he took his goal really well. I mean, he took it really well.
Lovely goal, yeah.
So I think I forget the fee that was paid for him. That's just ludicrous figures anyway. But I think he's come. He's looking more comfortable now. He looks like he wanted to be here. He looked well pleased on Saturday, didn't he? He's giving a bit of verbal to their fans behind the goals and all that. And I think there's a good group of players there. And I think that, he's playing very, very well. And there's a lot of movement. And I know BBM said Scanlon has come into the squad. And although he hasn't played a lot of 90 minutes football, he said he was surprised in his first week of training how comfortable he looked, how sharp he looked, and how ready he looked. So I think probably he'll be involved for the next couple of games, probably off the bench. So that's another thing in our armory, because he seems like quite a quick player who can really take players on and get crosses in, So looking forward to seeing him. Actually, hope he can live up to the hype really at the moment.
Well, if we look at the fullback situation, because of course, Capaccio, I think Capaccio is really, really good player. Whether he's an out and out fullback, a lot of people would say maybe not, but he's certainly a talented player. But one thing he's got pace and he's got skill, and it's the same with I love Joel Bagan. And if Scanlon's nippy as well, then we got good options, and Perry NG's come back to being good as well. So fullback wise, I think we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, two solid fullbacks.
Yeah,
that's what you want really. No nonsense.
Yeah,
do what they got to do, defend, and let the rest of the team do what they got to do.
For me, Joel's one of the contenders for player of the season. Actually, I think he's had a cracking season. Actually, And Steve, with this idea of the formation, let's talk about Callum Robinson, right? So in that mythical, weird social media thing where they're talking about salaries, he's on according to that nonsense, he's on crazy amounts of money, but he is an experienced, championship ready player, an experienced player, and he can't even get on the pitch, Steve. even when our top scorer Yusuf Salak is out injured, and the proof is in the pudding. You gone away and won 3-0. You know, so wow, what a I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. I think in a way you have to feel sorry for Robinson, but it's a squad game, and Perry NG wasn't involved earlier on in the season and made the comment how much he was enjoying the whole setup being under BBM, even though he wasn't actually in the team. So I think it's for the good of the team. He can do a job. But again, when he first came, of course, he'd had a great partnership with Carlin Grant at West Brom, and we thought that might benefit us as well, but it didn't for whatever reason. I think he's struggling to find a place at Cardiff City in the side that starts. And again, you have to wonder how he would have felt when, say, Salek's out and he doesn't get put in, and Amari Kellerman gets put in. So yeah, you do have to wonder what he's going through his head, but Cardiff City's bigger than any one player, and we have to make sure that we get the best 11 on the pitch to win the game, or the best 10 on the pitch to win the game on Saturday.
Yeah. What about you, John? I mean, I'm personally, I'm surprised. I mean, it's great we've been playing brilliantly, but I was surprised. You know, Robert didn't get on at all. I find that quite.
I'm not. No. He had a chance at Burton, and he didn't do very well, Steve, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And to bring him on with 10 men on the field, to bring him on up at
I'm not saying bringing him on.
Rotherham on Saturday wouldn't have been a good move.
I'm not so. Yeah, I get that, but I'm kind of surprised. I mean, like I said, I'm an old geezer. You know, for me, you'd have a striker. You know, that seems to be and if Robbo was the kind of backup striker, but you can't argue with results. John, you're also of the same opinion with Calamia. You don't really want him in there at the moment, do you? Or we can live without him. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I agree with Gary. Like, for me, he don't do enough work off the ball. I find with Cam Robinson, he can be very lazy, very, very lazy. He's one of those strikers, isn't it? You got, if you're up front with him, if you lay it off for him, bang, it will be a goal. But I like players who work hard off the ball as well. That's why I don't like seeing players walking around. If that was my team, anyone, as I said this before, Steve, anyone walking around, you're off. And to me, don't do enough work off the ball. I find he can be quite lazy. That's just my opinion.
I get that. Having said that, when he came on against Barnsley, he had 2 really good attempts on goal in a very short period of time, didn't he? Because he is a quality striker, isn't he?
Can I come in there, Steve, as well, and say that he has had his moments this season. He scored one of the goals against Leyton Orient. We won 4-3, and he did get the win away at Stevenage. Yeah, with a fantastic finish. So he has contributed, and he's saying when he came on against Barnsley, he was desperate to score a goal, and it was only he managed to crossbar that stopped us getting the 5th goal. Can also return to what you were saying before about what other people are saying about the Rotherham fans. You said, Gary, saying that they're the best. We're the best team we played this season. There was a blog that there was a link to off the message board by some Barnsley fans, and as they left the game after 70-something minutes because they were that fed up with it. But walking away, they said the only teams they've seen who match us are Ipswich in League One, are Ipswich and Birmingham. And I think one other team, Reading. Only 3 teams they can remember in recent years who have looked as good as we looked. And again, it came up earlier on that we can't count our chickens, but we're not counting our chickens. But I think we can be confident.
Thanks, Steve. John, just to ask you again. So using Callum Robinson as an example, it strikes me as the younger players, most of the younger players, have now got fairly secure longer term contracts, have been kind of sewn up, but it seems like most of the senior players that isn't the case. I might seem blindingly obvious, but I think I'm right in saying that. So again, is that indicative of if and when hopefully we go up to the next level? Do you think the writing's on the wall for the more senior players, and they're just they're doing a job? And I think you think BBM will just be looking towards more youthful kind of squads.
Yeah. I think so. He's looking to the future, isn't he? Players, say for argument's sake, say between 30 and 33, whatever. Could be their last season for Cardiff, and he's looking to build on. But I still think we need another fight if we do go up. I'm afraid to make a prediction with Cardiff City, like I've always have been, Steve. You know, beat Real Madrid, lose against Minehead. That's what we're like. You know what I mean? So I'm afraid to make a prediction with Cardiff. I'm like Gary, like I'll one game at a time. If we go up, great, fantastic. But I still think we need another 5 or 6 players, maybe. You know, if we do go up, because the Championship is different gravy again, isn't it? You know.
But we haven't spent any money, have we? Hardly any money at all.
And I don't think we were going to spend any money, to be totally honest. I don't think we will. And it's gone quiet with Vincent Tan, isn't it? You don't hear much about it. Vincent Tan. Do you know what I mean? That's all gone quiet as well, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. But he's happy, isn't he?
Say, gents? Well, I don't know. You haven't texted me yet, but
sorry, Gary. Did you want to come in on that?
No. I didn't really. I think that we will. That's why it's so important. We all know it's so important to get. So one season shot in it. We've got to get back to the Championship this year. We all know.
Got to get out of this league.
And then obviously we can retain some of those younger players, because otherwise, as you said before, they'll be picked off, won't they? And and then we can. We got more money, more income. I think. You don't want another season in this league, do you really? And
no,
absolutely not. For many reasons. If we can go up, then we can build for the future. We've got a way of playing now with a manager who's completely. This is probably the most enjoyable season so far since we got promoted under Warnock.
Yeah,
Warnock came in and shook the club up and got it turned around and got all the fans behind the team and the team with the fans. And I think it's very similar this year, all with a lot of youngsters, really. It's a completely different way of playing football. Yeah. And it's fantastic to watch. It's been thoroughly enjoyable up to now. And I hope we can, take it to its, conclusion and get promoted, because it'll be a fantastic season then, And I think we got the right manager to do that, hopefully. Yeah. And take us forward, go keep playing positive football going forward, And I think if we go up, he'll know exactly what sort of players we want. And then it's at that point then that Vincent Tan has got to back him.
If he's still here.
Really back him, to get the right players in to keep playing the right football.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see, won't we?
Yeah. Just a really quick one on that. When you see Cardiff City play, and then I think it might have been Peter Kitchen said this the other week. I think it was. He said about it's fashions in football, this playing from the back thing and all the rest. He's not a big fan of it. Don't suppose any of us are, but that's the fashion in football. But you look at Cardiff City, and then on the weekend I watched a little bit of Premiership football, and we haven't got that level of player. But we're playing that style. We're playing towards that style, and that's again to BBM's credit. Steve, there's another one from Lee's asking good questions about tonight. Thoughts on no keeper on the bench, Turner and Tyra. Turner and Tyra should be on front of a Ford Fiesta, shouldn't they? Had a good hour of training with Wardy before the game, Gavin Watercourse, but neither of them actually in the squad. Is that a sign of kind of confidence, or is it just a will to win? Get more players on the bench to come on as options.
I think it's in BBM we trust again. Being a kind of risk-averse person, I'm a little bit nervous about not having a keeper on the bench. However, we've got away with it so far. Of course, we've always got Perry NG there after thinking about the time between the sticks a couple of seasons ago. Can I come back to Gary's point as well, please, about the comparison with Warnock? I agree with you entirely, Gary, about the way that Warnock brought the club back together and, of course, did get us back in the Premier League. However, I think BBM is looking more sort of further into the future by promising youngsters. I also agree with what you said there, John, as well, that, taking one game at a time, obviously, but if we do get promoted, then we are going to need to bring some other players in. But we still got the basis of the youngsters that have been brought through this season. And I think a lot of it is helped by the fact that we are actually in this league, and we've got our promising youngsters able to play for Cardiff City rather than going out on loan to clubs in the lower division. So I'm hoping, obviously, the most important thing is Luton Town on Saturday now. However, I think the future can look bright if we stick with BBM.
Okay, and a good comment here from Jeff, which is absolutely true. I'm sure, John, you'll have an opinion on this. Joel Caldwell, we haven't mentioned him yet, but he was superb on the weekend, wasn't he?
Oh, he was. The box-to-box midfielder we've been crying out for a long, long time. His fitness levels must be frightening, honestly. He was, and I love it when he's got the ball and he takes it forward, the ball as well, and he's bringing other players into the game as well. I love it when he does that. Reminds me similar to Jordan Much. That's what he used to do, one in the midfield, one.
Oh yeah.
He'd take the ball forward when he'd be looking to the left, to the right to see who's going up with him, like to lay the ball off. But he was everywhere, one year. Joe Cole, he was tackling and breaking up play. Oh, he'd done everything. He was superb. He was superb.
Would you say, and I'm guessing you would, has he got a big future ahead of him with, maybe at least with Wales and maybe playing at a higher level, do you think?
Joe Colwell.
Yeah.
If he keeps doing what he's doing, I think he'll get better. Yeah.
Seems to have a great attitude as well, doesn't he?
He does.
He's totally solid player. He was up there again. He was up there for man of the match, wasn't he? But the other player we should mention, Gary. This is a weird one, really. It's just weird how these things work out. We all remember, Gabe Osho in his first couple of games where it was like Keystone Cops defending going on, and then he has that kind of personality where he kind of is naturally quite a smiley guy, I think. And he was like, ruefully smiling at things, and people think, doesn't care. But I thought he's pretty well definitely going to come good because he's a BBM signing, and like Steve said, I think we all have complete faith in him. He looks a real class act now, doesn't he?
Yeah. Look, I think he did that interview, didn't he, on a couple of weeks ago, and he came out and said he was almost embarrassed that the supporters saw him play so badly. And everybody was, and it was almost like a nervous thing. His smile and it was like trying to release the tension and all that, and he thought that the supporters would think badly of him. But I got to say, the Bradford away game, I thought he was great. Him and Chambers really defended well that day, and I thought on Saturday he did exactly the same again. He did everything out of the penalty area. He did everything simple. Put it into Rose Head when he needed to, did nothing untoward, didn't take any chances, and that's exactly what you want, particularly away from home. Just do everything simple, don't take any big chances, and fair dues to the bloke. His last couple of appearances, he's been really good, and good on him, because he's come through a really bad patch, and I think we're seeing now what BBM knew he could bring. Hopefully he can keep that going. I hope him coming off right at the end of the game wasn't another injury, because I think he put the ball into the crowd about 5 minutes from the end, down, put it away out of play, and he turned around then and he seemed to look at the dugout. Yeah, and then he looked a bit. When he got back into shape then into the penalty area, he looked across, and I think he wasn't running too free, and then obviously he came off and Chambers came on late on, didn't he? So I hope it's nothing more than just precautionary, really, or because he was, we need to keep as many players fit as possible now, and and I think we need him there as well, because he's been good. He's been very, very good the last couple of games.
There's a comment here about Osho actually, and earlier on in the chat, fantastic comments coming through as ever. Thank you for the comments. Apparently they reckon it was the lad McWilliams at the back who did Isaac. And the saying, and Paul saying, I was glad Osho got taken off, not for the fact he was brilliant, but obviously he was, but to finish the game with 10 rather than 9. You could see he wanted some payback for Isaac. But that injury, you're thinking hamstring kind of stuff, aren't you? The way he was like.
Yeah, he did. He looked really upset at the end of the game. We won't know till Thursday, will we? Until the pre-match, the press thing comes up on Thursday probably. But fingers crossed. But he looked really upset, Isaac. I feel really sorry for him. But hope, fingers crossed, it isn't as bad as it looked.
Such a good goal he scored. I love the way he just took him on. He opened up and banged and left foot as well. Back in that. Yeah. Question about Joel Bagan, whether Joel Bagan's got a new contract. I thought he did have an extension. I might be wrong. on that? Anyone know?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he had a
Steve.
1-year contract extension into next year or whether it's up in the summer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. But let me just talk about something else because we've got about 15 minutes or so. So let's talk about BBM because you said about the conference, the press conference, before the game. I love the way he comes across, but I think he finally had enough, Gary, hadn't he? With if you think about the thing with Yusuf Salak and what their manager said after the game, I thought he got done. He looked to me like he got done, and the standard of referee and almost dangerously poor, really. And I think like I said earlier, people they want to put one over on Cardiff. I don't care what anyone says about Willock. He's right. Everyone wants to beat Cardiff City for a number of reasons, I think. But what about BBM's kind of fairly frank comments after the game about the refs?
Me, Steve.
Yeah.
I thought that's the first time he's come out as publicly as I think he really vented his spleen, basically, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, he'd written to the PGMOL and the Referees Association and whatever, the people in charge, and sort of on numerous occasions, and he said they just keep giving him vanilla answers. They ask him what about this, what about that, and they just come up with bland answers. And he said he's I don't think they'll appeal the Wintle one now because he more or less said, he's not going to get off anyway, even if they appealed, and they wouldn't get an answer to it, And I think I think they're playing very vague, and I think he's fed up of not dealing with the issues that they bring up to him. They just give him, just give backhanded answers, and I think he really lost it quite badly on the weekend, didn't he? And as you say, he might get done for his comments because he wasn't very complimentary, was he?
But sometimes, Steve, those things need to be said. I mean, from what Gary said, if you're pointing the stuff out and nothing's happening, then you might as well be more overt about it. And even if it means that he gets reprimanded for that, he's made his point, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agreed entirely. I think it's the inconsistency. You can't get into by pointing out the inconsistency. I thought there was some refereeing performances, like the injury to the Stockport game was an absolute case in point when you had nothing given for the challenge on Salek, foul by Wintle. 5 seconds later, sees him get a booking. You see Wintle checking if he's got all his teeth, having got a fist in his mouth from a Stockport.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You can't get in trouble for pointing out a fact. These things happen. These things are missed for whatever reason, and it's the inconsistency that is so troubling. Again, a comment that I've made and various other people have made in recent weeks is about VAR. The amount of officials they need in the Premier League for VAR now. So you've got 4 officials at the games, with the 2 assistants, the referee, and the 4th official. Then you've got 3 more qualified Premier League level refs watching on VAR. So further down the league, you are unfortunately going to have less experienced officials, shall we say? And these less experienced officials are not actually doing the job that they need to do, I don't think.
Well, we can touch on it very briefly as we get towards the end. With some great comments. A humorous one from Jeff, which was quite good, talking about the fact, don't worry, we got Simic, Darland, Louis, and Atete coming back, but we'll see about that. But if we look at the sending off itself, Steve, I mean, it was. I thought it was a silly thing for Ryan to do. I didn't think he needed to do it. It was blatant. Just outside the box, either give them or they don't. I thought it was probably a yellow. I would say that I'm a Cardiff City supporter, but it was a bit daft. But he seemed to be fairly kind of prompt to get his red card out, didn't he?
Very quick.
I think the thing to say about that is, like what I just said about officials, he gave the referee a decision to make.
Yeah, he did.
A decision to make between a yellow and a red. Yeah, you can see either colour could be given, but the fact that he pulled him back. He did pull him back.
Blatantly.
Yeah.
What about you, John? Were you like at the time, were you at least surprised, borderline angry about that?
Well, with Wintle.
Yeah.
Well, there was another Cardiff City play there, though, wasn't there?
There was 2, John, either side.
2.
Fish one side and Oshaw.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, Gary. Yeah. I just my opinion. I thought yellow at the most, And he was, like you said, Steve, very quick to get that
Very
red
quick.
card. Very quick. And going back to that game as well, I don't know if you guys noticed as well, Turnbull took a elbow to the face as well at Rotherham.
Yeah.
Had
That
an
was a
elbow.
really bad one. That was a really
Yeah.
bad one, I thought.
Yeah, the side of the face, elbow as
Yeah.
well. Got
Yeah.
a notice. The officials, they've been shocking. I'm not being funny. You might as well have Peters in the out there and Stevie Wonder. Honestly, absolutely shocking here. I wouldn't have them over Troy Park. They're terrible. Absolutely terrible. You got the linesman on the side. The ball's gone out on his side. And he's looking at the ref to make the decision. What's going on?
Lee makes another good point here as well, because I watched this game on the weekend. What is the answer is no. Was there much of a difference between Wintle did and the one Liverpool game yesterday on Salah? One's an off and one's a sending off and one isn't. I didn't see anything different in those two things. Bagan, NG, and Wintle apparently out of contract at the end of the season, so we'll have to see on that. My money would be on Joel gets a contract. Maybe the other two don't. That was what I would think. So what I was going to say to Luton. Let's talk about Luton. So we got this Luton game. Now, was it Luton? Was it last season when we had an absolutely terrible game against us, and they managed to beat us, and they haven't won in 17 years.
They beat us 2-1, didn't they, from 1-0 up, and I think that's where we realised we're probably going to be going down that night.
Yeah.
We were 1-0 up, and then they scored 2 goals. They won 2-1, didn't they? They beat us 2-1 at Cardiff City Stadium, didn't they? It was a big must-win game, and we lost. So there you go.
And they're currently 7th, so they're just outside the playoffs. I mean, there's an underachieving football club for you, isn't it? A couple of seasons ago they were in the Prem. But they're a fairly kind of ugly team, aren't they? Luton. What's your thoughts on Luton, Gary? Any do you fancy them to have a go or not?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough game again. It's not the easiest games to have, is it? We're not playing like a lesser side. They are, on paper. I know that Jack Wilshere fancies their chances, doesn't he? He said that he thinks that Cardiff are obviously, because we're top of the league, we're obviously more consistent than they are. But he said on the day they think that they think they're as good a side as we are. So I think his intention is to come down here and try and beat us. So if it's an open game, good. We played very well up there, didn't we, earlier on in the season? I thought we did really, really well. So I hope that we can get a win. By whatever score, doesn't matter. Just if we can get, like I said before, if we can get a win on Saturday, and then with Lincoln playing Bolton, it could be a really big, it could be a really big weekend. So I hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get that level of performance again and manage to win, hopefully.
And Steve, I think I'm right in saying this. I'll have to check, but I think about the last 6-7 games, it's been win, draw, win, draw, win, draw, win. So if that means anything, it's nailed on draw on the weekend, isn't it?
Well, you think that, wouldn't you? But there's damn lies in statistics, aren't there? I think go back to the Luton game as well. I think Nathan Trott had an absolute blinder at Kenilworth Road. Just was not there.
Yeah.
And I think it was Naki Wells was playing, and he said that he couldn't believe how he was getting in the way of some of the shots. So it was a bit of a smash and grab. Brilliant goal by Willock to win it there. Therefore, it is going to be a tough game, but I'm hoping Cardiff City can prevail. And again, if we keep going win draw, win draw, win draw, we'll go up
exactly as champions. Yeah. John, you got any thoughts on Luton? Do you sort of make a point of watching the highlights of the games and to have a look and see what they're like? And
I'll be honest with you, I don't look at other teams, mate. I can't. I just watch Cardiff and that's it. I'm just Cardiff, mate. Got no
Great
interest in any other. No, honestly, I'd rather be humdrum and quartered than watch a Jacks. I can never watch him. No way. I just watch a Cardiff. They're my team. That's it.
Yeah, but like Gary said about, which is perfectly fine, by the way, and a really good answer. But Gary said that he watched the Lincoln game, and even though they won 4-1 away at Plymouth, they were like fairly ugly, kind of brutal goals they were scoring. So, So, but do you think Luton are going to be there or thereabouts, or do you think they've blown it then, John?
Oh, for me, okay.
Yeah.
I think they'll be there or thereabouts. Luton, they'll be there, but it'll be a tough game.
Yeah,
it won't be easy.
And with the other game, the Bolton Lincoln game, Gary said which I like actually. He quite liked Lincoln to win it, to like put one over on Bolton, and then and to nail us and secure us into the top two. Does it matter if we win the league, John, or as long as we go up, does it matter?
As long as we go up, don't get me wrong, love us to win the league. Don't get me wrong, as long as we go up, that's the main thing to get out of this league, innit? And like Gary said, that third place, if we get like between 10 and 15 points, whatever, above third place, nice cushion over there. So you need to worry about. Get that top 2 spot.
Do you want to give us a score prediction for Luton?
I hate this.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, Steve. 2-1 Cardiff.
Okay, that's a reasonable one. Gary, what are you going with?
Yeah, I'm with John on this one. I think 2-1. I think I think we can win the game. As long as we as long as we play as well as we have been. I don't think they're as good away from home as they are at home at Luton. So, we've got to be positive on our own patch, haven't we? And just keep playing the way we have. As long as we take our chances, we took our chances Saturday in the main, and I think if we can do that, I think 2-1. As long as we win, it doesn't matter. Just look after ourselves. We've no influence on the other results, so it would be great for us to open up a gap. We just got to keep doing what we got to do. So if we can win this game, it would be a fantastic win on Saturday.
Also, I'm personally, I didn't see Lincoln doing so well. It's surprising to me that Lincoln have done so well. But hats off to Lincoln. They're getting the results, aren't they? So all credit to them.
Yeah.
For doing it, and that actually it's almost like when you've got a Steve, totally stupid analogy, but when you got 2 horses from the same stable, and the one has a little run to keep the other one up there and make sure it wins, maybe Lincoln are doing that for us,
Yeah, and any help, anything that can get us over the line is useful.
Get it over the line, isn't it? Yeah. And it's funny as well, Steve. I'll comment for you, maybe in particular with your history with the show and your travels and all the rest of it. When we went up back in 2002, 2003, it taken us so long. We had the Stoke thing. We had those games where we nearly did it. Lane Lawrence and all that. Then we finally got up there, and it was such a huge thing for us to get into the Championship. Here we are now, City fans, after like 20 years in the league, and we just want to get it done and dusted in 1 year. And it looks like we might do that. So it's quite a fantastic achievement, whatever anyone says, I think, if it happens.
Yeah. No, I agree. It would be an absolutely fantastic achievement. From my point of view, say my travels, the away games have actually been fantastic for me this season because they're so much shorter, because there's so many teams sort of in the middle of the country. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I'd love Forest to come down.
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest, as well.
Interesting.
Probably, because they had the Jack as their manager, and it's pathetic, and it's sad, isn't it? What was your prediction, Steve, for the?
I have got a mind of my own, but I'm going to agree with Gary and Jonathan. It's going to be a tough game, but I think we'll prevail 2-1.
Okay. So as usual, everyone always goes through where no one ever predicts that you're going to lose, but things are going well. So long may it continue. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Steve, in particular. Really good to see you, and I'm glad your health's on the mend.
Yeah.
Before we go, gentlemen, and Ronnie Moore was up there as well, wasn't he?
Of course, yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, he was up there.
And he's been very poor.
The best manager in 100 years or something for Rotherham. And I was hoping, come on, Ronnie, walk over to the fans. Just a little wave, but he didn't, And
I definitely did see Ronnie Moore score. Not many times, but he did.
Yeah. Against Wrexham, January 1980. April against Luton, 2-1, he scored. Up in Shrewsbury, won 2-1 up there. And against Chelsea in October 79, when we lost 2-1. Fillery for Chelsea and Cal Frost. And obviously Ronnie Moore for Cardiff.
I unfortunately saw Ronnie Moore score against us for Rotherham.
September
1981. He was about 5 yards offside by his own admission, and they beat us 1-0.
Typical.
Moore,
So even though the show technically ended a minute ago, that was worth it, wasn't it? Just for the purely for the stats. Right. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers, lads.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.